Your takeaway from the space game against Houston, and we just talked to Philip Dunham on that note. Obviously, he had a big day as well with 3 interceptions and the pick 6.
Yeah, just obviously really disappointed in not getting not finding a way to win that football game. And there's a stop somewhere in that game that we can get. There's a version of us that can find a way to get one more stop in that game to give us a chance to ultimately win it. So just real disappointed with our inability to do that, and football punches that way. So if you give them an explosive, if you a third down get converted, or penalty or something along those lines, against a good opponent, a quality quarterback that has the ability to run the ball and get some of those tough yardage and stuff like that, and so. Anyway, yeah, just really disappointed, and then probably like specifically Phil, you'd love to really celebrate a tremendous performance on his part. And there's other guys that played well, don't get me wrong, but that's a unique night for a guy, and it's important to, like I said, to celebrate it in whatever way you can. I think they said Big 12 Defensive Player of the Week, which is obviously well deserved, I mean, the dude made plays for us now. I mean, there's you can't minimize those. Aren't just tips or lucky. Like those are big time plays, and so give him an absolutely tremendous amount of credit for it. And obviously, we all feel better if it was in a winning effort.
Alex, you guys got it. Scott talked a little bit about this yesterday. You come out banged and bruised out of that game. What is the status of the unit look like right now? I mean, you obviously got the next man up mentality, I guess, as you move forward this weekend with Texas Tech.
Yeah, I mean, you look on the field at the end of the game, and you're seeing some bunch of guys that and maybe didn't have as big a role kind of going into the night. And so we'll figure out by the end of the week, kind of in terms of availability and all those things. But no, like you said, I know it's coach speak, but you get a lineup with 11 somehow, some way, and they can't all play D line, they can't all play DB, and so you got to piece it together that way. And so making sure obviously we're smart too at this stage of the practice. At this stage of the season from a practice standpoint to make sure we're getting the guys to the dance, but still getting the work that we need to get in. So we'll manage that as well.
When we spoke with Coach Frost post game, he said he wasn't making excuses, but the defense was banged up and gassed. How do you manage that as a defensive coordinator when you're losing guys like Malachi Lawrence and Nigel Kelly on crucial drives in the fourth quarter?
Yeah, and you don't have the. It's not available to you to kind of sulk about it or anything like that. It's just you try to as best you can, maybe in some ways manage the calls for the guys that are in there. Things that you otherwise might do, not necessarily holistically, but some things that those guys are capable of doing that you wouldn't put on the same plate as some of the other guys. And so that's something to bear in mind. It's not just the guys that go in the game for them, but all the pieces that are around them. So. No, but I also commend the fight of the guys. I don't think what you certainly didn't see as you evaluated that the fight went down by any stretch of the imagination. I thought the physicality maybe went down a little bit. I was a little bit disappointed that way, and that's 49 runs and whatever it takes to get it done. Held a field goal in the end, which was a positive, but had in that moment had to find a way to keep a 0 on the board. So. No, the battle was good, so I commend the guys that way. But yeah, and then maybe in some ways got to find a better call along that stretch too.
Earlier you said there's some places you got to make a stop. Might the end of the first half have been a drive where Houston gets into field goal range? It might have been a place there. We'd have liked to have made a
No,
stop.
it is, and then that's the margin is so small. It just and for most people, it's not unique to us, but you're looking at it through the lens of what 3 points means in that football game. Well, we know now. In that moment, you don't. But now, and so is it being more aggressive in coverage? So we should, in an instance where we played zone, should have played man, and then the final completion we were in man. It's like, God dang, should we've been in zone and maybe had someone in the window, and so there's not a magic answer for it, and you drive yourself nuts doing some of those things. But you also can't then dismiss it and say, well, that happened in the first half, so that's inconsequential to the outcome of the game. That's not accurate either, and so. No, those 3 points ended up being huge.
Coach, you had 10 points off of turnovers in this last game thanks to three interceptions from Philip Dunham, the first time that's ever happened in UCF history. What was it like to see him finally pick up a turnover this season, just one turnover this season, much less 3?
Yeah, in Phil's case, it was almost a daily for us in spring football, and sometimes you get nervous as a coach. It's probably like hitting home runs in batting practice, where you're like, save some for the game type of thing. But it just didn't come, through the first X number of weeks, and so I was excited for him because he has the ability to make those plays. We've seen it again. We've seen it not on Saturday nights until this past weekend, and I think also it's a visual for him is that confidence that comes from, and the best way to generate that confidence is do it in a game, and I think on the heels of that, we'll got to finish the right way for a senior in those things, and so I think he's excited to take the field this week on the heels of that.
After Braden Marshall went down early on, it felt like Houston attacked Jair Brown in particular. How do you feel like he settled into that game? And going into Texas Tech, if Braden's not available, will Jair be the first man up in the nickel?
Yeah, Jair Brown's our second nickel right now, and yeah, that's a tall order, and teams do that. I mean, they're going to find out. They're going to see, okay, well, who's that individual, whether they have a study on him or not. They're going to attempt the best they can to attack you, and that could be a number of different positions, not just specific to the nickel spot. And so, no battle, throughout the course of the night, and gave up one, and obviously one he wants to have back. One we certainly would love to have back. Again, margin being so small, it has a major impact that way. But no, a guy continues to work and practice for us, and no, he's the next guy up.
Yesterday, Coach Frost mentioned you and said, I'm not sure what you said. You said something about you just reminding him that you got to go through the hard to get to the good, and you got some sort of message. I'm not sure what it was, but that really resonated with Coach Frost. Can you kind of elaborate maybe on what that messaging was going through this rebuild?
Well, I think just number one, we're all in this thing together, and we're fighting, scratching, and clawing every single day in that building, on that practice field to get the outcomes and try to find a way to get a win for our head football coach, and so I think as much as anything else, it's just as you go through it, making sure that all of us realize that we're in this thing together, and we can't be anti-hard. We can't. We're all in when things are well, and then you fracture when things don't. And I think my biggest message would be the same message I give to you all is we got to play better defense. There's a version of us that's got to find a way to win a game, and so that I want to scream that from the rooftop. And that's just what you have to do in this in a tough sport, man, for tough dudes, man, and then for tough guys and then I use the phrase anti-hard. If you're an anti-hard guy, and just when the hard stuff comes, and you kind of cower to it, I just, as much as anyone, want him to know that the type of guys are on the staff.
Moving forward, you guys look to the best into the Big 12. How big of a challenge to be starting with Texas Tech next week?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, tremendous football team. The ranking was suggested, and it's warranted, and maybe not ranked high enough type of deal. They got tremendous personnel. They're coached extremely well. I think the minute you talk about personnel, you don't want to be dismissive from a coaching standpoint. They put just some real stress on you, both from a perimeter standpoint, from a blocking scheme standpoint. Offensive line is extremely well coached. Quarterback that just knows how to attack you. Running backs that are patient, but patient in a good way. From their perspective, patient in a bad way from our perspective. Otherwise, you kind of like when tailbacks might dance. No, these guys are waiting for that thing to pop and waiting for that thing to crease, and they have the ability to do it. And so can attack you in a number of different ways as you go through their season. Certain weeks it's maybe a little bit more through the air. Other weeks it's on the ground. And so no, we know what we're walking into, and that's an environment that will be tough sledding, and an opponent that can back it up with their play on the field. So. But also just a tremendous challenge, and so we're excited to go.
Coach Rich, at this point into the season, 3 more games left to go. Is the defense kind of is what it is, like in terms of game planning and the way your philosophy going into a game? Are you still looking for ways to improve, especially as you go into the later seasons? Of course, improve, but still looking for ways to expand it.
Yeah, you're always trying to look for, is there a role for an individual? Is there something from a call standpoint? Maybe it's not a holistic change, but is there something that you can, if you minored in it, is it something that maybe if you majored in, you'd have more success? Where using, kind of the easy answer, man versus zone or zone versus man. Can we lean in a certain direction? Can that help us? Same thing from a pressure standpoint. All right, is there a certain guy that's a better blitzer than someone else? Does that make more sense as opposed to just saying, all right, we're going to send that checker or move this checker and some of those things? So you're always analyzing that, and and I think too is you, like you said, you're always trying to get better. You just and maybe from a coaching standpoint more so than sometimes from a player standpoint. But man, we're on that grass every single day, and working extremely hard. And believe in the practice element of things and improvement, the development. We don't get these guys to develop maybe sometimes as long as we used to, but there's still that. You have 15 days in the spring. You picture that. We got 5 days every week to be out there with. Don't tell me we can't have a better version of us come Saturday. Otherwise, we should back off over the course of the Monday through Friday. And so no, certainly the work continues, but and you start analyzing those things that maybe we could be better at.
We've asked Frost about trying to change the outcomes on the road. Obviously, you guys are 0-3 on the road this season. Do you guys change things in terms of habits or routine or preparation when things aren't going well? Like, what's maybe is this week going to look different than it did against Baylor in terms of the Monday through Friday?
Not in a lot of ways. I mean, I think you have to analyze those things. I think sometimes too, it is I'm not. I didn't come up with this term, but this phrase, and I can't remember where I read it, but the lazy why, and the lazy why is, there's one reason. If you just had, if we didn't do Chick-fil-A on the plane, if we did something else, we'd go win the football game. Or if on Tuesday, if we had 5 more reps, and so, or maybe we had 5 less reps, and then you can go into this as if there's one magic bullet that's going to get it done. We got to play better. We got to handle adversity better on the road. Some more obvious than others. We got to find a way to get takeaway on the road. We got to tackle better on the road. We got to do all those things that lend itself to winning the football game. And so no, yeah, I mean you look at certainly everything. I mean you can't ignore it and say and just pray for a different result. But on the same token, you got to believe in some of the things that you're doing and then not be naive enough to think that it's one specific thing during the week that could change everything, but certainly still analyzing those.
2 more.
Coach, I'm not sure if you got a chance to watch film with Texas Tech this week, but as far as what you've seen of them through this season up to now, what's something about this Red Raider offense that has stuck out to you? Like, okay, I got to be prepared for this.
Yeah, just the consistency. I think from a week in and week out basis, it's really difficult to find that week and say that this was the week that they weren't. Weren't able to run the football. This was the week they weren't able to pass the football. Sometimes obviously, an opponent held the ball for longer and stuff like that. Maybe have to dictate something from a total yardage standpoint, but in the end result being the end result. And same thing with a couple quarterbacks playing as a result of injury and still finding a way to ultimately have success more than not. And so then you're saying, okay, well, there's moving pieces here. It's not just one guy that you can circle, and so I just would mention that consistency and toughness, and as much as anything, just that ability to run the football versus multiple fronts and some good defenses.
Back on Dunham, how have you seen him grow since he's been with you and take coaching?
Yeah, I think it kind of speaks to the transfer element of things. How many position coaches have some of these guys had over the course of time? Are you the things you're asking them to do in spring, are those the things you're going to ask them again to do in fall camp? Are those the things I'm going to have to do during the season? Is this just something, a thought or an idea? Or is this, something that is, the very specific to how we play that position, a job description, a certain role defensively? And I think the thing that he's taken to is having to understand, okay, well, these are the things I'm going to be asked to as what we call the field side safety spot. And I think what you see just from a consistency standpoint from his, where he stands is just an understanding that when he comes in on Mondays, you go through the work week, okay, these are the things that are expected of me over the, in the run game, in the pass game, from a coverage element standpoint, as well as, when we need you in the run fit and that. And so I think, trust over time, I think is critical, and not because he was not trustworthy on our side of things, or vice versa, not trusting the things that we're saying, but it's those common shared experiences that you have over the course of time. Like coming in on Sunday, okay, maybe we didn't get did make a play, and okay, well, how's coach going to react to this? Is he going to change something on me, or is he going to blame me for something, or something? Some of those things, and so that's kind of commonplace now. It's just the reality is until you get into the season, it's just there's a different relationship when you kind of been in the fire together. Not just in Phil's case, but all the guys. I think they have an understanding kind of where we stand and our expectations, and our willingness to stick through it together and be in the fire with them and be in the fight with them and all those things. I think Phil's just one of those guys that I like to think he can feel that from us.
You coached a 3-interception guy or more in a game?
Oh man, I think one time way back when at Wyoming, a guy by the name of Shamil Gary. I think he had 3. I think he had 3. Yeah, it's just coaching. It's just tremendous coaching on that one. In this case, it was
That's
all
why I
Phil.
set you up.
No, I know. I wish I could say it was commonplace, but a lot of times those things are tips and kind of very unique plays when you kind of see some of those, which again they don't happen very often. But again, unique to Phil's case. I mean, that's just a dude making a play, and there wasn't. I wouldn't attach luck to those things, which is really cool. And give him credit for it.
All right. Thanks everyone.
Thanks, y'all.
The other 3 interceptions